So far we have discussed about it is the how interpersonal relationship and mode of communication that plays a very important role. And if you are very positive and main thing is that is you want to increase the relationship with the person, then definitely in that case to retain that relationship and enhancing that relationship, it will be always better that is the your communication is very proper and very supportive. Now, the next part in these the relationship dissolution, we will understand that is the Lee's who is given in 1984 a stage model. Dissolutions is a process taking place over a period of time. However, if you remember those models, in some cases it is also possible, that is basis on the Kahn's model you will see, and that is the once the relationship is developed and immediately the dissolution of the relationship starts also. So, that short time period of the relationship is there, but normally when the relationship is strong and there is a good interpersonal relationship, and then in that case definitely the person will think of dissolving the relationship with a period of time. The beginning of this dissolution that starts from the dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction starts with the not fulfillment of the expectations, and therefore, in that case if the person is not able to maintain the need, as I mentioned earlier, the need of the person, as we understand that different persons are having the different needs. So, every time you cannot say that is the need is of the materialistic value only. In the current era, this is the misperception, that is the person can be kept, we can keep the person happy with the help of money, and if the money is there I can keep everybody happy. It is not true. The many people are there, those who do not want lot of money, the basic needs are satisfied, that is fine, but what is required is that is the fulfillment of the expectations, and that expectation comes from the when the understanding the problem and not only the symptom of the problem, the root cause of the problem. When I was in industry, many times the superiors of the subordinates were not happy, maybe because of the low productivity, and they totally focus only on the increasing the productivity, but that is not true, because first we have to identify why there is a low productivity. The low productivity is not necessarily because of the low efforts of the worker or the man behind the machine. Low productivity may be because of the certain other technical reasons also, and there may be the there can be some psychological reasons also, but then we have to understand the man very carefully, and then only you can take the work from him efficiently. So, it is important, that is the you recognize the problem in a very efficient way. Then second is exposure, problems identified and brought out into the open, and therefore, once you know understand the problem, then you work on the problem. Without recognizing the problem and without understanding that is the why, you cannot bring that problem open. So, therefore, low productivity, as I have given the example, I would like to continue with that particular example, and then in that low productivity then you cannot bring it to the open, that is the okay, low productivity is there. The person will ask, the boss will ask you, that is the why there is a low productivity. And if the person in interpersonal relationship also, if the person's relationship is not smooth, the people will ask why, and that why have to be understood, that is called the exposure. Then once you understand, okay, there is a dissatisfaction because of the particular X reason can be the time, reason can be the money, reason can be the status, even reason can be the food and therefore, in that case if this type of the situation is there and you understand the reason, now start negotiation. What does it mean? Negotiation means discussion about the issues raised during the exposure stage. Now, it is always possible, that is the there might be the simple reason of that is not satisfied with the food, and then if this is the reason, then you start discussing about the issue, that is the what is the wrong with the food. Is it the taste is wrong, or the dish is not favorite, or if the person does not like that particular dish, or he likes that dish, but the taste is not favorable. With this dish he wants the another dish, if with this dish he wants to do certain experiments. So, therefore, in that case there can be the discussion about it, that is what exactly you want, and therefore, in that case and you can negotiate. Okay, if you want to prepare dish like this, then I need time, and then I need this material. If you will bring the material, I can, but if you will not bring the material, so it is not. So, negotiation starts. So, bring the material. So, if you will bring the material, I will cook. So, therefore, once you identify the problem and then you go for that particular cause exposure, and then you are starting the negotiation, that is the yes I can, but these conditions are to be fulfilled. If these conditions are fulfilled, I will require manpower, I will require machine, I may require money, and therefore, only in that case I can give the results what you are expecting from me, and therefore, in that case that negotiation will start. If both the parties are able to reach to the negotiation zone, that is from the both if they are able to reach the negotiation zone, then definitely in that case there will be the resolution, and resolutions can be attempts. So, both the partners try to find ways of solving the problems. Here I would also like to take an example of industrial relations, that is the employer and employee, whenever they are into the wage agreements and they are into the negotiations are there, and in those negotiations, once they reach to the bargaining zone, negotiation zone, because both may storm from the extremes yes and extreme no's, do's and do nots, but when they come while with the period of time, right, and while in the process of negotiation they come across to each other's understanding, then their resolutions will be attempt is there, and as soon as the resolution is done and both the parties agree, and there will be the problem will be solved. But in the case if the resolution the negotiation fails, and we have seen in number of factories, that is whenever there is a negotiation is failed, the situation has turned in the violent, and therefore, this violentic situation to avoid, it is always better that is you have the good negotiation skills. In interpersonal relationship, if the person is good negotiator, he will be able to retain the relationship for a longer period of time. But if the person is rigid, a person does not have resources, he may not be rigid, but if he does not have the resources, he will not be able to make a successful negotiation, and therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the how to make that relationship strong, how to go for the negotiation, meeting each other's points, and then meeting these particular expectations. Otherwise, what will happen? If the negotiation fails, the last stage will be there, and it is about determination. If the resolution attempts are unsuccessful, then definitely in that case there will be the termination of the relationship is there. So, to be a good negotiator, first we have to understand the real problem, we have to understand the root cause of problem, we have to bring on the surface that particular problem, that the real problem is this, then we have to start negotiation, and then we have to start the resolution of that particular problem, and if it is not, then definitely the problem will be terminated. Now, what factors to relationship leading to the relationship problems? There is a maladjustment caused by the dissimilarity among the couples, and therefore, in that case it is always when the two parties are there and there is a dissimilarity is there among the couples, then definitely it will be a problem to the understanding of each other. But we should not be shortcuts in judging others, as I mentioned earlier also. That is this dissimilarity, how to define dissimilarity? Dissimilarity, is it the look, it is the economic status, it is the social status, what is that dissimilarity is there, and therefore, these type of the issues are there when the both the parties are not from the same equal platform, right, then definitely the interpersonal relationship dynamics that will disturb, and there will be the problem in the relationship continuation to that particular level which you want to develop for a long period of time, that relationship, then it will be a big problem. Individual may feel lack of trust and may de-escalate, that is breaking up to see if the relationship endures changes in one's life. Now, it can go up to that extent also, that is the because of the dissimilarity is there, maybe the, as I mentioned, maybe because of the economic status or the social culture aspects. In both the cases, whenever there is not any proper economic status and the social aspects, then in that case there will be the lack of trust, and as a result of which the relationship will break, and that will end the one's life. The changes will not be possible in one's life, including others in the personal debate by either one. Now, you see, as we see in the industrial relations also, that is the there is an arbitrator. Arbitrator is a person who is from both the sides of the both the parties, and then he decides, and both the parties they agree for that. So, it is not necessarily that you go for the adjudication, you go for the any other mechanism, right, for tribunals and all, rather than you are going for the arbitrations. And if the arbitration is there, then definitely in that case it will be including the other's personal debate, that is always better. When you involve for interpersonal relationship personal level, you involve other relatives to whom you believe, right, maybe the parents, right, and then in that case they will give you the right solution, and as a result of which the problem will be solved. So, to maintain the relationship we have to also take care of the other relatives, and then we have to get them involved to solve this particular problem. Changes in one's life or the excessive rise in blame game played by both the partners. So, this we have to avoid this blame game, and whenever there is a one's life changes are there, or there is a excessive rise in blame game. So, if the blame game is there, then definitely what person will do? Person will try to always making the other person responsible for any failure, and then always say that for this failure is caused because of you. For some time it is okay, but if it is happening every time, the other person will not tolerate this, whether it is a personal relationship or it is a professional relationship. In both the places, blame game will not be tolerated for the long period of time, and therefore, what will happen? As a result of which mutual withdrawal of supportiveness and affection will be there. So, therefore, when there is not this type of the understanding, there is no equality, there is no including the you are not have other persons to be involved in your debate. So, what will happen? That is the blame games will increase, and one day you will find that is both the parties they will withdraw the support from each other and the affection from each other, and they will say bye bye to each other. So, these were the factors which will be leading to relationship problems. Now, if this type of things are happening, it will be lead to the maladjustment caused by the dissimilarity among the couples, and naturally among the couples this type of problems will be more. Sometimes the individual in the relationship may feel lack of trust and may de-escalate up to see if the relationship endures changes in one's life. often including others in the personal debate, then the enlisting for his or her side may offend the partner. As I mentioned in the earlier slide, that is they may involve an enlisting support for the his or her may the partner, and if it is so, then definitely then in that case involving why you have involved your parents. Now, this can be the question can be asked by the one spouse to the another, and then the spouse will be surprised because he has she has involved these parents because to solve the problems or to solve the relatives, or maybe the person to whom he believes that is this person may solve my problem, and therefore, let us make the tripartite and involve that particular person. But sometimes in the relationship, taking this step or by arbitration, that initiating this stage of step of arbitration, and that may spoil the relationship. So, therefore, this formula not necessarily will always work, and therefore, you have to understand to whom you want to whether to involve or not to involve, and if you want to involve, then to whom you should involve, that you have to take care of. So, what is to be done? We have to rebuild the relationships. How to rebuild the relationships? Communicate and express your emotions, that whatever emotions are there, that you please communicate and express, and listen to understand, not to reply. And always it, as I mentioned, that is this expression which in earlier step may not be necessarily verbal, it can be non-verbal also, like giving a gift. Now, giving a gift is a saying non-verbally saying sorry. If there was earlier there was a quarrel among the parties, and the person he does not say sorry, but he brings the gift and gives the gift. Now, the another party, they have to understand this is sorry. So, therefore, but this type of the indicators, I think that is it takes long time of relationship, because you understand that the other party will not say sorry, but will bring the gift, and that is a practice. And then you see and then you forgive the person. So, therefore, in that case that also becomes a interesting ways, and that is the how to express your emotions non-verbally. And yes, if you are strong enough to express your emotions in a proper words, then definitely communicating, verbal communication can also be the best way to one of the best ways to say the sorry, apologize and resolve the issues. Listen to understand and not to reply. Many times we are so prompt in reply, that is the before the person completes his sentence, and then we will say no, this is you wanted to say like this. Maybe he has not completed his sentence. So, therefore, in that it means that is we are not ready to listen fully. We are not in mode to listen, rather than we are in mode to reply, we are in mode to defend, we are in mode to prove that you are wrong. So, therefore, this will not actually not will give a good test, that is the whether the person when the person is not ready to listen, then it will not solve the problem. And this may extend to the breakup, but what is required? Listen, empathize, understand, and then take a decision. You are free to take a decision, there is no problem. You can decide to continue with the relationship or to break the relationship, but the proper care is to be taken, because if you want to continue the relationship. No, we should not make the haste in breaking the relationship. Realize human errors, do not idealize partner. So, therefore, nobody will get the ideal partner. Every partner will be having certain strengths and weaknesses is there. But when we want to love the person, then we are more focusing on strengths, we become blind, we are not able to see the weaknesses, and therefore, it is irrationalized love. Irrationalized love motivate us, that is to focus only the strengths and good part of the relationship. But as I mentioned earlier in my lectures, that the relationship will be always having the positive and negative sides. So, therefore, if there is a negative side, personality will be having certain negatives. So, therefore, if there are certain negatives, are you ready to accept that? And that is why we always say that is we accept you as a full with your all positivity and all your negativity, all your strengths and with all your weaknesses. And therefore, but if you are looking for an ideal partner, that there should not be any weakness, which is practically not possible at all. But if that is an attempt is made, then that will be the human error. Understanding to another person a perfect person itself is a human error is there. So, it is a beginning of the relationship itself is basis or root is wrong and irrelevant and illogical, that is the other person will not have any weakness, other person is full of strengths. There even I am searching, I am not finding any weakness in him or her. So, it means that is the person is blind, he is not able to see the full personality of the individual. Assurances and 2 is a relation and 3 is a discussion. Now, it is very difficult to say, they are different solutions, and which solution will be adopted in which situation, that one has to decide on his own. Because when I say involve the arbitrator, and we have seen arbitration has become successful. So, when you involve your in-laws in the problem with your spouse, and many times problem has been solved. But as I mentioned, involving the parent, earlier I mentioned involving the parent itself is a problem, then the problem will not be solved, and that is the 2 is a relation and 3 is a discussion. So, therefore, when you are involving the third person in your relationship, then definitely it will be a matter of discussion, it will not be the matter of relationship. So, therefore, it is always advisable, that is it is better the both parties, those who are having the difference of opinions, they meet each other and they understand and continue with the long relationship. Next is to rebuild the breaking relationship is assurances and trust building, build the trust. How to build the trust and what is trust, that I will discuss later on in this particular course. But what is important is that there is an assurance is required, that is the yes, you will be able to develop a relationship and there will be no problem in future. Now, this is a very big promise. This is a very big promise, because the other person knows your personality, other person knows your behavior, other person knows your nature. In spite of this, deciding to continue with that particular person, it is really a very difficult situation. And therefore, in that case, that is the realizing human errors and do not idolize the partner, and understanding, developing the trust, all these aspects are very difficult unless and until both the parties do not want to continue, both the parties want to continue the relationship. There are the joint activities involving physical and emotional interaction is there. So, naturally the spending time together, sitting together, enjoying movie, all this type of the physical activities, and therefore sharing of joy, sharing of the humiliation, sharing of the insults, sharing of the moment of best moment of life, sharing of the most embarrassing moments of life, all these emotional interactions which will be taking place between the two parties, then definitely then those moments, they are actually making the relationship strong. And therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is you are having the physical and the emotional interactions. And last is in building the relationship is humor and spending time together. Please also understand essence of humor. I will be discussing the humor also in my further classes. That is the how to develop the humor and how to be humorous and how to make other person to laugh. It is not easy, it is very difficult, and therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is you are able to develop that particular relationship among these persons, that is the how you can develop that humor and the making the other persons to laugh and spending time together. If you are able to spending the time together, then you will be a joyful moment, a humorous moment, right, that will bring the smile on the face of the other partner, then definitely that will be very important in rebuilding the relationships. And there are the different ways also to reconstruct the broken relationships, and first is the apologize. Apology is having the very big strength, and when by heart, by realistic you understand that is yes I accept, I regret and meant, that is the yes I accept that was my mistake, really I should not have done that, but now I can't do, done cannot be undone, and therefore now I have the regret for the regret and meant. So, therefore, I have the regret for that, and in future I will not I ensure you that is I will not make any such type of mistake or blunder. I will keep you happy, I will keep you smiling. If this type of the apologies are there, then definitely you can reconstruct the broken relationships. Please understand, for broken relationship one condition is very important, right, that is the another person, he is annoyed, he is angry, but it is not that is he does not want to continue the relationship. Now, if the person is annoyed, person is angry, and then definitely in that case you can make his mood better, and you can ask him to we continue the relationship, do not break the relationship, right. But if the person reach to this conclusion, that is there is no point now to rebuild the relationship, then in that case definitely it will be very difficult to develop, that is the acceptance. Because the next point, unconditional acceptance of the self and other. As I mentioned, every personality is having its strengths and its weaknesses, and if the strengths and weaknesses are there, then definitely there is requirement of the unconditional acceptance is there, and if there is unconditional acceptance of the self and other, then you have to think of that is the what is required. So, if the person wants a requirement of the person is that is the accept me as what I am, right, and if you are ready, then definitely relationship maintenance will continue for a long period of time. But if the person says I am and the person is not ready to accept it, then therefore, it will be conditional acceptance. You change yourself, then only I will accept. Other person is not ready to change, so then it will be very difficult to maintain the relationship with the other person is there. Nothing is more important than self respect for you and the other person. This is very very important. As I mentioned in my earlier lectures also, that is if you find that is there is no point now, because the another person has crossed the limit and there is no distance between you and him as a self respect, then definitely in that case it will be very very problematic, and therefore it is the it is a time to say that is learn to let go and move on, and sometimes it is better. Sometimes it is better that is you are not able to continue with the relationship, and then it is better to say the bye bye, to let it go and the move on is there. So, in interpersonal relationships I would like to talk about these 12 interpersonal styles. These styles are the ego states, that is what type of the ego states are there and how these ego states are working into the dysfunctional styles and functional styles are there. For example, nurturing parent is there. Nurturing parent style, that will be the rescuing style will be there. Always whatever is you are into the problem, they are there to help you is there. In the dysfunctional styles will be that is not okay is there. While in case of the functional styles, it will be supportive will be there. That is yes, if the person is of the ego state, is of the nurturing parent is there, even at the workplace. Nurturing parent means not necessarily in the physical parental status, it is related to it is an ego state is there. So, therefore, in that case in the functional style that there will be supportive will be there. If the regulating parent is there, then definitely they will be prescriptive, they will tell you to do this, a prescription will be given to you and then you have to follow that, or it will be the normative, a norms will be developed. So, in the norms you have the freedom, that is the you have to follow the norms, but it is up to you how do you follow that, those norms are there, you should not cross the norms. So, therefore, those value systems are developed, but value systems are having with the freedom and flexibility, but you should not cross the value system. Then adult ego state is there. Adult ego state people, they are always concerned about the goal orientation, as a task obsessive. That is, yes, the task is to be done. If task is done, they are happy and satisfied. If task is not done, then definitely that will be problem for them. So, but in case of the functional style, they are problem solving. Whenever they are problem solving, so the adult is rational, logical, and find out that is, oh, this is, where is the problem, this is the problem, I will solve the problem. So, they will be the problem solving. They will be the creative child. So, bohemian will be there and innovative will be there. So, naturally what is required? The innovative is required. The functional style which will require in the creative style, not okay, not the bohemian, that is the destructing, rather than it will be innovative, find out, that is the what is to be done. The reactive child, this functional is there, he will be aggressive, and therefore, in that case he will not be able to solve the problem, he is not submissive, rather than in the functional style he is assertive. He is not aggressive, but he is assertive and he will try to solve that particular problem. Adaptive child, that is the sulking is there, while in case of the functional styles it is the resilient is there, and resilient adaptive child, then definitely with the period of time he will be able to solve that particular problem. So, what is important is, that is, whenever you are going for this different interpersonal style is there, you are supposed to develop that particular relationship. So, we have talked about, that is, how to rebuild those relationships. So, therefore, in that case if it is required, so find out the factors, that is the raising the break in the relationship, find out the methods which will be helping you to develop the again the developing the relationship, and please develop an interpersonal style which will be more and more functional. So, as a result of which your relationship will be long lasting. So, this is all about how to rebuild the relationships. Thank you very much.